everybody. I'm Carly, Marketing Officer at Easy Equities, EasyProperties, and today we are going to be talking about something super exciting. It's giving island energy, summer vibes, offshore property portfolio, and all those wonderful things. And I'm talking about our latest EasyProperties IPO for Alba in, drumroll, Mauritius. How exciting! So for this property, just a couple of key facts. Its internal rate of return is 9.3%. Its estimated net rental yield is 7.62%, and the IPO closes on the 24th of April. Now, today, I'm going to be chatting with Stefan Buerter, Director of Rainmaker Marketing, who handle the online sales for this property. And we are joined today, how lucky are we, by EasyProperties CEO Rupert Finnemore as well. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.
Thanks you, Carly. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, super exciting to be talking about Alba.
Me too.
I'm very excited to chat to you guys.
The most important question is actually if me and Rupert get to go and do a site visit, which I think is crucial to the success of this property.
I agree. It needs to be mandatory. Hey.
It's funny, we've had no volunteers from inside the office to inspect any of our Bryanston or Rosebank properties. But many volunteers for this one. I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with you, Stefan, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce this. This property, Alba, is situated in Trou, Biches. Is that right?
Yeah, I think Trou, but pretty close, I think.
Well, I could have pronounced it differently, so I think where we've landed is good enough.
Exactly.
Tell me about this part of the island and a little bit about the coastal market.
Okay. Yeah, Carly, so I mean, we've been doing stuff in Mauritius for probably about 10 years now. So we've grown to know the island pretty well and also grown to know where the investors tend to want to flock. So Trou is situated in the northwest of Mauritius, very close to Grand Bay, which I think most South Africans know. And I know that South Africans also know further down the western side, Flick and Flack and Black River and those areas. And then further down, you've got Grand Bay, which is obviously the sort of the hub. But it's interesting that Trou has way exceeded other destinations when it comes to occupancies and hospitality. And I think it's got a lot to do with it's a little bit off the beaten track of Grand Bay itself. Has some of the best beaches in Mauritius. I think the Trou beach, which is very close to site itself, is regarded by many as the leading beach on the island. And it's got really cool bars and restaurants, and then you're close enough to be able to go into Grand Bay itself. And what's really interesting is that the island as a whole at the moment, from a short-term perspective, is achieving about 71% across the board. But the properties, specifically in the Trou area, that are done on a short-term rental basis, are achieving about 82% occupancies year-round at the moment on average, which is really cool and just gives you an indication of how good that particular components of the island is, and that's why we're so excited about Alba's product.
Wow, that sounds so. I'm hearing all those different parts, and they're ringing such a bell because I'm currently seeing if I can book a little holiday next year for Mauritius, and looking at all those different areas and thinking like, okay, these are looking like great areas. So cool to see that this specifically is drawing so many visitors. Now, the developer Red 4, they've done other developments in Mauritius. Can you tell me how kind of these developments are fared and insight into the products that they build?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the guy, Norbert Kunich, who's the CEO of Red 4, same period, sort of first met him about 10 years ago. And I don't know how many trips I've done there in that period. I don't know, maybe 15 or so. And they've done about 25 projects on the island. And if you talk about due diligence, I've been to every single one of them. So at least I know what the product offerings are. But they're very niche and boutique in what they've done. And every project, like it's amazing. Every project they've done, a fully furnished package down to the teacups and the spoons. They've been very strategic around their locations. I mean, obviously they know the island unbelievably well. Have secured great stuff, but the products that they've done, we launched a product called Saint Antoine, which was a product they did with a developer called ENL, which is one of the leading developers in the island. And ENL now, the guys have almost doubled their value. I think we launched that about 5 or 6 years ago. And it just shows when you deliver well and you create the right product offering. And when it comes to boutique stuff, I say Alba's 36 apartments. So it's quite big, but it's quite boutique in terms of the level of detail that goes into the facilities and the designs. And they work with architects that work with across all different budgets who are really top of their game. So I'd say for a product like this, they are undoubtedly the best developer. And I think track record wise, I mean, you don't do 25 projects and deliver them and sell them out and achieve value for your owners without knowing what you do. So yeah, I think that's been a really exciting part of this journey. We started working with them on Alba as a product probably 12 months ago, and we're like, how do we create the perfect product for South African market? Start by the right site, the right size, and the right product offering, the right short-term rental operator. And I know it's hard to say the perfect product, but I really think that we've got the best product I could have imagined that we would be introducing to the South African market, which I think is super cool.
Well, that's a great reputation to go on, and to kind of stamp on this property. So that's sounding really good and positive. Rib, you sit on the investment committee for all these properties that we choose. Why Mauritius? What's the investment opportunity there? What do we need to think about in terms of investing in property in Mauritius? And how does Alba fit in with all of that?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking when I listen to Steph is that we probably should have bought more units with all of that information. But yeah, I suppose Mauritius, like any other area, first and foremost is location. I mean, we know that in that Mauritian area, the north and the west part of that island are traditionally the areas that do exceptionally well. Not all areas are the same. Mauritius is an interesting market because there's a distinct coastal market and then a distinct kind of inner market. And that coastal market, overall, the combined capital growth in that Mauritian area has been about 6% for the last, I don't know, 10 years or 5 years, whatever it is. But the coastal market has absolutely pumped. I think it's done over 20% in capital growth over the last few years, which is enormous. So location is always key. Steph's already mentioned the developer. That's obviously was a key thing for us. We were in our first offshore property, we had to make sure we were doing this with the right partners. And a kind of cursory look at Red 4's track record and the due diligence that has been done definitely lends itself to a tick there. One of the big things that we've had to look for is legal structure. Again, first offshore investment, how are we going to move the money from South Africa to Mauritius? How do we buy in Mauritius? Approval for foreign ownership is a thing in Mauritius. Developments have to be approved for foreign owners. And so the process with that, how is that going? That was a tick for us. Obviously, the legal structure was a tick. It's a very simple structure. It's a domestic company. It's a local domestic company. It's got great protections. It's a very simple entity to run. So that was a tick for us on that way. I think going offshore is obviously about currency exposure, and I'm sure we're going to chat about that a little bit later as well. But just being able to diversify some of your investments out of a single currency like the Rand. The rental management was a big one. Steph's already mentioned the extreme occupancy levels that they've got in these areas, like over 80%. I mean, that is outstanding. And obviously, we've signed a contract with a rental company, LOV, who have got an awesome track record there as well. So we covered from that point of view. And so I think those are all big ticks for us. There's location, the development, the legal structure, the capital growth, currency exposure, rental management.
Yeah, and I think for South Africans, it's a place we know. You know, if we haven't
Correct.
been there ourselves, we know someone who's been there, or, you know, it's close to us. It's not this completely foreign thing, where there's some familiarity there. So I think it's a really good fit for our community. And we're already seeing people are super keen on this property.
Yeah.
Steph, talk to me about short-term rentals, you know, the appetite there, I guess, and what do you think about this property is going to appeal to that market?
Yeah, Carly, it's quite interesting. So we did like a couple of podcasts as part of the sort of the pre-launch campaign for Alba. So actually, Alba only launches to the public on the 19th of March. So it's quite cool to be able to talk ahead of it and seeing the level of demand and interest and so forth. But we had a couple of hospitality consultants talking about it. They're just saying like how the trend of tourism has changed so much post-COVID. They were saying currently Mauritius, it's quite interesting that the average night is the average duration of stay is 11.4 nights. So they were saying that, which is quite long, like I would have thought, and they're saying historically pre-COVID it was like 8 or 9 nights or whatever. So guys will stay in a hotel potentially, but then they want to experience more. So they want to rent a car, they want to get involved and like immerse themselves in local culture and all that kind of stuff. So the short-term managed rental solutions have done exceptionally well, and I think that's why they've exceeded the norm. So across the board on the island, the managed short-term rental solutions are achieving 75% occupancy. But then, like Rupert said, Love, who have been brought on, they are the leaders when it comes to short-term management. They specialize in that area of Trou and Grand Bay. So their marketing platforms are really strong in terms of attracting visitors and a good, really good, strong track record. And then obviously the location, I think I don't know if people know, but you can't, as a non-resident, you can't purchase on the beach itself. So best you can do is sort of one row back, and Alba is one row back, perfectly positioned, 100 meters from the beach. We've literally walked down and seen it, and that makes a huge difference. And then you combine it with really good units, nice gardens, a restaurant, a bar, like all the cool amenities that come with it, and the concierge and the laundry and all that kind of stuff that someone wants to have, with a really good solution. And I think then you've got quite a powerful product and offer sort of proven test case. So even the projections we did, we were quite conservative initially in terms of occupancies, but they're not achieving less. Love aren't achieving less than 80% in the island right now, especially in the north. So it gives you a huge amount of comfort to know that if we've all worked together to create the product, that from a short-term perspective, we're expecting the demand to be really, really strong.
Yeah, nice. 100
I
meters
think,
from the
Carly,
beach is not bad at all.
yeah, it's lekker.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, I mean, Steph talks about them being conservative on their projections. We've translated that conservatism, into our projections as well. So the IRR that we're projecting is based on an 8% capital growth, which has been significantly lower than what has been achieved in the island. And also our occupancy projections are based, I think it was a 55%. As you've heard, their current rates are like 80%. And so there's hopefully some real good upside for our investors from projections to actuals.
Okay, that's good to know.
And sorry, one thing just to add there quickly, what is quite interesting in that part of the podcast series, the guys are talking about the capital appreciation, and Rupert mentioned it, like they've gone through Mauritius has gone through a really, really good cycle of capital appreciation, but they're saying the capital appreciation on managed short-term apartments is almost double that to non-managed ones, just in terms of the value that's created through a steady, stable, short-term rental income that's obviously hedged against another currency. That was also quite interesting to note that that's like there is this massive premium to, which is exactly how the Alba model has been created, I guess.
Great. And Steph, you said it launches to the public this month, in the middle of March, sort of around there. What are other timelines that we should know about in terms of construction or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think realistically they'll commence construction, I'd say third quarter of the year. Sort of I think that aim for mid to third quarter of the year. And then it's a 2-year build from that period. So obviously, I mean, the normal story of off-plan is you hopefully benefiting from the capital appreciation in that period during the off-plan period. But basically, I guess break ground, let's just call it September, and in 2 years from that, it'll be completed and ready to rent out.
And sort of interest and demand so far?
Yeah, it's been super high. Hey, it's very hard, and I think it's a price point thing. I think historically, people could only get into Mauritius at a certain price point. It was very like in the past, people used to be sort of chasing the permanent residency, so you had to invest a certain amount. It was initially $500,000 US, and then it became $800,000 US. And now it's less about that. It's more about the dollar-based or euro-based rental income. And so I think to be able to offer 1 beds at 4 million, and then 2 beds at 6.5 million, it's a comparable price per square. It's very comparable with what you're paying for in the foreshore or Greenpoint or any of those areas in Cape Town. Not even, it's lower than Sea Point prices currently, which makes it really real and really tangible. And so if you're looking at almost like for like, well, you're getting an offshore diversification, you get dollar-based rental income, you get the capital appreciation there, and you're getting a price point that's quite aligned to what you're paying in Cape Town right now. And so as a result, the demand's been super, super high. So yeah, I think we're expecting, I know you always want to say sell out, but we're expecting very close to that on launch day, which is pretty exciting.
So let's zone in, because you both have touched on us on this currency hedging aspect of it. Talk to me, maybe you can start, Steph, and Roop, you can chime in as well about what that is and what the benefit of that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was quite insane. I keep on going about these podcasts we had, but we had lots of like financial advisors, well, not financial, as offshore specialists, talking about how people don't understand that regardless of how rich or poor you are, 50% of your investment portfolio should actually be diversified offshore. It was interesting, like the one guy was saying, if you're an alien and you had to look at Earth, you wouldn't just like pinpoint South Africa and the southern tip of thing and say like, that's where I'm going to put all my money. You'd be like, cool, it makes sense to diversify. And they were saying like diversification is really important. It de-risks, and also with currency hedging, like over a period of time, it makes a significant difference in terms of how that value grows. So yeah, I think it's a very, very important step for anyone. And I think this is such an easy step for various different reasons. But yeah, it's the diversification of the portfolio, it's the currency hedge, but it's also the ability to be able to earn revenue on a monthly basis in a different currency.
Do you want to add anything to that, Roop?
Yeah, well, I think the nicest thing is that it just helps balance out your portfolio. I mean, a really good example now is this Middle Eastern conflict that's going on, and the extreme volatility that's happening in the Rand. The Rand has been particularly strong over the last while. We've lost a little bit of ground to the dollar over the last week or so. And so, you kind of get a little bit of extra protection there. Thankfully, we've been very conservative with our exchange rate that we've budgeted for to purchase these units in dollars. We're also going to be hedging that against like some forward cover on that through our banks. But once you start earning that dollar-based or euro-based income and the Rand starts losing ground, you benefit from that as well. So that's a potential really good thing. And I think one of the other things that I was keen to mention that I forgot, that I've just remembered, is one of the benefits of doing this in Mauritius. Steph was talking about the comparison to Cape Town. Cape Town in South Africa just happens to have a little thing called capital gains tax. In Mauritius, currently, there's no capital gains tax. So all of that growth that we are projecting and hoping for, there's no capital gains tax for now. And that's why this is just such a really good opportunity. There's talk of the Mauritian institutions bringing capital gains into play, but not for anything that's going to be signed before that gets promulgated and all of that. So this Alba opportunity is going to be protected from capital gains tax, which is also a massive opportunity for our base.
Take my money, man.
Yes.
Sounds great. Okay, guys, I think we'll leave things there. Thank you so much. I'm frothing to go and get my little bit of investment spend for the month into this property, as I know so many other people are. We're always up for site visit invitations, Steph. So you just let us know if you need,
Noted.
someone to come and check it out, verify that 100 meters. We don't want to have 70 meters. We want to make sure it's 100 meters from the beach. So yeah, thanks so much for the both of you. And yeah, we'll chat again soon.